Oh boy, that's not good. Not terrible. Hmm. Not terrible. Turn it down. Jeez. Boy, been doing this for how long? I'm gonna figure it out one of these days. Good night. Damn. Oh goodness. Let's see how many crit. Oh, come on, you can't do it that way. Crikey. This is new. I made it. Oh, wow. Oh, shit. Uh-oh. Don't need that. Yeah. That's okay. I have no memory of reducing that. Minimizing it.
Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
and young enough to do.
Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. But it's Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy,
Kennedy, Kennedy, Kennedy.
Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who'll bring the job a fresh new point of view. Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Cause it's Kennedy, 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 for me.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. And it's Kennedy, 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 for me.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you'll cast your vote for Kennedy, and the change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Yes, it's Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, Kennedy, Kennedy,
Welcome for my humble second bit. Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley Commonwealth. Pennsylvania, part of these United States. For now, North American continent, Western Hemisphere, on this planet Earth, the only one. We have third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system. Of the Milky Way galaxy. This is TKE tonight, the Kennedy Effect tonight for the 9th. I almost said the 7th. The 7th was the show that we did Tuesday on the 7th. Today is Thursday the 9th. Live with you for Thursday, January 9, 2025. It is still very firmly winter here. And let me just do that. Just record and make a bunch of noises. It is still firmly winter here in the Lehigh Valley. It is absolutely terrible outside. One of the ways that I can judge and really grasp how old I have become is the weather. And my goodness, it's cold outside. I can't stand it. And it's wreaking havoc on my body. And I have definitely reached the point where I would much rather, it was 100 degrees than 20 degrees. And we not only have had 20s, we have, I think it was 12 or 13 when I woke up and took the puppers outside this morning around 5:36-ish, somewhere around that area. Good night, man. It was just terrible. Anyway, let's get to the business end of the program, shall we? You are watching and listening to TKE tonight, the Kennedy Effect tonight, for the 9th of January, 2025, and we are live coming to you from the Lehigh Valley here in Pennsylvania. George mentions reminds me in the chat that it was 16 degrees when I got married on Saturday. I didn't think it was that cold. I thought we had reached the 20s, but I know the wind chill was in the low teens. And somehow my very brave wife was outside in a wedding dress that was both sleeveless and shoulderless, I think is how you would say that, because it kind of came down. So there was no sleeves and there was kind of nothing up around the shoulders. I don't know how she did it, man, because I was in a full suit and vest and jacket, and I had all these long socks and layers, and I was dreadfully uncomfortable. My face and my head and my ears were going numb, and she was hanging out there with nothing from here to here. This is all exposed, and boy, I don't know how she did it. But anyway, you're watching and listening to us live on the following places. We are live right now. It can be listened to and watched on all of this massive list I'm going to give you right now. We are live right now on the Facebook pages, plural, of Ghost Call Productions, Our Revolution Pennsylvania, TCP Media Group, my own personal Facebook, Jeff Kennedy, with my fancy name right there in the bottom left-hand corner of your square. And, of course, our home group Facebook page for all things surrounding the Kennedy effect. That Other Side of Information is our group on Facebook. That Other Side of Information. Over 1,300 members now. Would love, love, love to get to 1,500 by, let's say, tax day. Let's say April 15th for giggles. Would love to get to 1,500 by tax day, and you can help that happen if you are feeling so inclined. We can do that later. We are, of course, live on our YouTube channel as well, which is also called That Other Side of Information. If you can't watch us on Facebook or don't want to watch us on Facebook, you can go to YouTube. YouTube is also the single very best place to go if you should ever miss any of our program, all of our recorded programs, equipment testing, goofing around, all kinds of stuff is there at youtube.com/That Other Side of Information. We're live right now on Twitch. I forgot my Twitch channel name again. It's Jeff Kennedy, but I also changed it. And I can't remember. Jeff Kennedy Talk. Okay. Yeah. No, I changed it to try to make it easier to find. And all I've done is make it more difficult because I'm a goof and I can't remember what I did. So anyway, yeah, that's we could do that. And we are live on LinkedIn, Jeff Kennedy as well. The audio of the program, of course, blasts around the globe via GCPR, Ghost Call Productions Radio, .live. That's our website, gcpr.live. Link is in the chat already. You can listen to us live there as well. You can't watch. Then again, this is a face for radio. You don't want to watch it anyway. But we are live there right now, gcpr.live. Following us at 9 p.m. Eastern, Superplex Party, Conversations with T. Nathan from... It's a different... No, I changed it. George says it's still Jeff R. Kennedy at Twitch. I'd swear to God I changed it to Jeff Kennedy Talk. Either way, I think you can find us. I don't think we're that hard to find. What was I going to say? Before so rudely interrupted. No, I don't. I'm being an idiot. Superplex Party follows us immediately at 9 p.m. here on GCPR and many of these video outlets. Conversations with T. Nathan from 11, and Thomas returns tomorrow morning to round out your broadcast week with a large, steaming hot of the sound of coffee. I'm wondering how he thinks of that when I say that. I'm wondering. That must be pretty. I don't know. He must be. I can't imagine what he thinks of that. Because it doesn't sound very good when you really think about it. But anyway, let me get to. Yes, I'm still trying to welcome people into the program here one by one. It's that personal touch that you get here on TKE tonight, including some new names. Great to see Douglas Brace, to Leon. There was another new name I saw, to Ed. I happen to know Ed, but I don't think I've seen Ed here listening on the program before. So welcome to all of you. Thank you for being here. Please feel free to share this program everywhere that you think is appropriate, and especially to the places where you think it's not. You are not bringing in massive amounts of money, like we certainly are not. We're not bringing in any. Think of it. We don't have any advertisers here. We live by word of mouth. We live by you. If you like the program, please feel free to share it, like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. So thank you for all of that. I think that's everything. Let me get to, I'm going to get straight into the comments because Randall was nice enough to put this in the comments already, and it is one of the articles that I wanted to get to. Now, apparently there's been even more breaking news. And it's good news. I haven't seen any kind of article hit the news, hit the wires. And I just aged myself. George will tell me in the chat how much I just gave away my own age yet. I haven't seen any articles or any news alerts hit the phone quite yet about this. Randall mentions in the chat that the 11th Circuit, the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals has overruled Judge Cannon's ruling, and that Jack Smith's final report on both the classified documents case where Trump sold classified documents following his first regime, and his attempts to overthrow the government on January 6, 2021. That final report will be made public, period. All of it will be, or at least the court has said it will be made, can be made public. Whether Merrick Garland grows, and sure it's not so yet in his life. This is one of those times where I need to control myself and not get irritated, because I do have a hell of an Irish temper. Go ahead, take over.
Yeah, it's not on any news feed yet because it just happened about the 11th U.S. Court of Appeals ruling against U.S. Federal Judge Cannon that she can't suppress Jack Smith's final report.
There's a couple of very simple reasons why she cannot do that. She has no jurisdiction.
Well, of course,
she has no jurisdiction. But she also,
of course, well,
right.
She had jurisdiction on one, which was Trump stealing, or
stealing, hiding, hoarding, and in all likelihood selling classified documents.
Or Lago. But she had no jurisdiction in the federal court in New York,
in D.C.
For the
January 6th case, correct. She has none. She also has no jurisdiction to suppress the report because it is part of the independent counsel law that they must, at the end of their investigation, whether that investigation leads nowhere and no crime is found, or whether they are under threat of being fired and prosecuted and jailed and thrown into a detention camp the way Jack Smith is after January 20th, it is part of the independent counsel law that they must produce a final report to conclude their investigation. That then goes to the Attorney General. What happens to it after that is it can be released to the public, it can be given to Congress, it can be suppressed, it can have its true meaning and intention and words completely twisted, like the Mueller report was by Bill Barr during Trump's first regime. So yeah, she had no jurisdiction to suppress this report. Period. End of story. This also marks, by the way, the third very, very notable time at the 11th Court of Appeals, which is, by all standards, a very conservative, both in its rulings and its politics, a very conservative court alone. They have smacked her down now 3 times, essentially saying that she's unqualified to sit where she sits, that the rulings that they have overturned of hers were so badly and poorly decided and so outside the law that their appeals decision was not just a difference of opinion with Judge Cannon, but in fact the only opinion based on law. Randall gives the judge a lot more respect than she probably deserves by giving her full title, which is U.S. District Court Judge Eileen Cannon.
Yeah.
She was bought. She was bought and paid for before she was placed there. Trump placed her there very intentionally because living in Mar-a-Lago, cases would have to be brought against him in that jurisdiction. He put her there for that reason. And oh, by the way, he said publicly, repeatedly, because she's pretty. She's a good-looking lady. That's another reason he picked her. She was chosen by the Federalist Society. She's monumentally unqualified to sit in her seat. She's also been floated as a potential Supreme Court justice because she's already bought and paid for it. She will do as she is told. She will not rule on law. She will not rule on common sense. She will rule on her bank account and the people that fill it. And there's nothing more complicated about it than that. So this overturning of yet another completely frivolous decision by her, there's only so many decisions of these she can make before you have to have a serious talk about the fact that she needs to be removed from that seat. Now, as long as Republicans have control of any of the other 2 branches, it'll never happen. She would need to be impeached.
The only way to remove her would be by impeachment and the Congress. So, and the Congress is controlled by the Republicans, so I don't see that happening. But you make good points there, Jeff. But going back to the first breaking story earlier in the evening, that the U.S. Supreme Court.
So why don't you explain it? Because I didn't even get a chance to get to it. So go ahead.
Okay, the U.S. Supreme Court, and yesterday I was betting that it would be a 5-4 decision to deny Trump being sentenced tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. But it's wild because it came out 5-4 to deny Trump's legal to stop him from being sentenced tomorrow as a almost sitting president that is convicted of felony. And it was 5-4. So yes, it was the 3 Democrats that are on the U.S. Supreme Court. It was the Chief Justice, and this is what just totally flabbergasted me. It was Amy that voted with the 5-4 to allow him to be sentenced tomorrow. And yesterday I would have said that's absolutely not going to happen. You got the two most corrupt Supreme Court justices for taking bribes, and then you got 3 that Trump appointed. I said it would have been 5. Yesterday I said it's going to be 5-4 to prevent him from being sentenced tomorrow. But like I said, it went the opposite way, and I am glad it did. I am totally glad, because we're going to have a president that was a convicted felon. And there's
just what the founders envisioned.
There's repercussions from that. A convicted felon can't have a liquor license.
Can't own a gun.
Well, he can't own a gun, but that's irrelevant because he doesn't have a gun. He's got the Secret Service. But what's going to hit him in his friggin' wallet in his back pocket? If he loses liquor license at all his clubs, his golf clubs, etc., yeah, he's going to lose money because he can't sell liquor. He can't have a bar.
Well, he'll transfer ownership to the corporation of which he's only a stockholder, or put it fully in one of the kids' names, or I mean that's not good.
Well, for New York, it will. New York State, it will. It doesn't matter if he's connected with anything. New York State will take away his liquor licenses at Trump Towers, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see. You're right. We will see. But anyway,
I would say, just in fairness to her, and it's not. I mean, there's not a lot of credit to give her, to be completely honest. Justice Coney Barrett has at times shown some jurisprudence, if I'm using the right term. She has shown some genuine independence. She doesn't seem to be the complete corporate-owned automaton that Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and Thomas and Alito are. Let's not forget that yesterday a story broke that Justice Alito, and Justice really quotes at that point, had a conversation with Trump at the same time that he was making appeals to the Supreme Court, but yet told the press that they didn't discuss the case. How fracking stupid does Judge Alito think that the population of this country is? We already know he hates us. We already know he thinks he's superior to us. We already know that he thinks he's morally superior to the rest of us. He doesn't think that any of the millions of dollars that he's clearly taken throughout his career to judge things in a certain way is perfectly fine. But yet, we're the ones with the problem. Now, if Randall owned a pharmaceutical company and had a drug in FDA trials and was told that the trial was going to fail, and then called me before the announcement to tell me to sell my stock, that would be insider trading. It would be illegal.
Yep.
If Randall I should stop beating up on Randall for doing all these illegalities I'm talking about, all these hypothetical illegalities. If Randall then was a big donor, he's still let's make Randall still the owner of that pharmaceutical company. So he calls me a day, 2 days, 3 days before and says, "Look, you own a shit ton of stock in my company. The FDA is going to reject our drug. The stock price is going to drop probably by 90%. It might very well put us out of business. I would sell it all now." That's illegal. And you can be damn sure that he'd go to prison for it, as would I if I had sold my stock. But let's take this hypothetical situation one step further. If Randall then is indicted for insider trading, but then calls the judge who sits on his case and says, "Remember the big campaign donation I gave you? I think now it's time I called in the favor. Or remember when I called you to tell you to sell your stock? I think it's time I called in the favor. And then the judge, of course, then tells the crowd, I did speak to Mr. Sampson on the day, but we didn't talk about that. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? How completely stupid do these people think we are? Now, arguably, 49 point whatever percent it was of the voting public is. But I also want to highlight something that we try to highlight an awful lot of time on in this program, and that is this, there's more layers to the justice system in this country than flaky layers in a croissant. It's just layer after layer after layer. Even if Randall was the head of this pharmaceutical company and was a millionaire in his own right, he'd still get prosecuted for insider trading, and he'd get prosecuted for trying to influence the judge. The judge would probably get removed from the case. Trump talks to Alito. It gets reported, but Alito just talk to him about that. And it goes away. I don't know how many times Trump has sold his soul to the devil. I don't know if he has a Dorian Gray style painting in his attic. I don't know. But the fact that justice seems to have never reached this man, ever, he's almost 79. So in a easily a more than 50-year career, and actually there's biographers who report how he cheated his way through college as well. A man who's done nothing but lie, cheat, and steal, bully, intimidate, threaten like a mob boss since the time he was a teenager. And the chickens have never come home to roost. And I know I've beaten this analogy to death, which is a pretty bad alliteration in its own right. Analogy. Grammar correction. Right. I know I've really overused this analogy, but if Donald Trump was Jeremiah Jackson, a 16-year-old black kid from Washington Heights, Manhattan, and was pulled over on a stop and frisk and had a 16th of an ounce of pot in his pocket, he would have been arrested, taken to Rikers, tried and convicted within a month. This man has tried to overthrow the American government. He has cheated people who have donated to charities out of hundreds of millions of dollars. He has lied and inflated the value of his own businesses to the tune of tens of billions of dollars. There are police departments across this country where he has held campaign rallies that he has never paid for overtime and manpower. There are vendors he has never paid. There are tradespeople who have built his buildings he's still never paid 10, 20, 30, and 40 years later. I can't wait to see Jack Smith's report, because Jack Smith doesn't F around. He is not afraid of Trump. This is a man who tried and convicted war criminals at The Hague. He's not afraid of anything. He's plain spoken by all accounts. And I believe not only will this report be damaging beyond belief, I suspect that it will be unspinnable, meaning there's going to be no way that it can be spun into anything positive. And I suspect, from what little I know of Jack Smith, and I will absolutely admit little, but some of the briefs and motions that he has filed so far that have been released to the public, this is all public record, They're really quite easy to read and understand. You don't have to be a Harvard constitutional scholar, one of these Northeast elites that Republicans like to piss and moan about, even though they all went to those colleges and universities. I think the report's going to be very easy to understand and very easy to read. I suspect it'll be quite lengthy, and I suspect it'll be written down to the last and final detail. But I suspect also that it will be very easy to read, and it will be damaging. Will it be damaging beyond repair? It seems that nothing touches this man. His name happens to be Donald. He is the, so they used to call John Gotti the Teflon Don. No, the real Teflon Don is going into the effing White House again for the second time on the 20th. But some of this stuff is finally going to stick to him. And by the way, he will be sentenced tomorrow. He will not see a jail term. He might see a fine, and I suspect even if they try to give him something ridiculous like community service, it'll be suspended at least until after his 4 years. And I don't know that it'll even be for the 4 years anyway. He's over 300 pounds and morbidly obese. And he's been sprayed so many times at this point. I have to think some of that shit's leached into his blood at this point. If he had, I would say into his heart if he had one. But do I suspect he's going to be sentenced tomorrow? That's awesome. Do I suspect that the sentence will be anything meaningful? I do not. Might be a monetary fine. He will not see jail. And if he gets any, like I said, if he gets any kind of, you have to surrender property, or you have to surrender this, or you have to do community service or any of that, he'll appeal the crap out of it, let's be honest, because he never does anything other than keep people in court. And he'll never actually serve any of whatever he's given. I suspect he'll never pay a dime of it. And I don't think he'll live to a point where he has to. Because nothing ever stays.
The New York judge has already said that Donald J. Trump will not be submitted to any prison time. That judge has already said there will not be any monetary, and there will not be any community service. And I can't remember the legal term. You're convicted, but nothing happens negatively to you by being convicted of a felony. So that's what we're going to see tomorrow. And it's funny, Jeff. I wrote an email.
So it'll be on his record. That's about it.
That's it. He's a convicted.
It's like a moving violation. It's like a parking ticket. It's really nothing more than that.
It's not. It's a felon.
If he's not going to pay a fine, if he's not going to see jail, he's not even going to do community service. We're just going to, you've been convicted and these are on your record. Well, you can be convicted of a parking violation too. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't mean much. And that's what this means. Almost nothing.
Well, it will forever be, if our country's still here in the future, it will be in the country's history that we elected a president that was a convicted felon. That will be in the history books forever.
We're number one. We're number one. We're number one. First, are we the first country on Earth? Are we the first country on Earth to have a head of our state be a felon? No.
No.
If we're not the first one to elect him knowing he's a felon, that's got to be a pretty small list of countries who knowingly elected a convicted felon.
It includes the Prime Minister of Hungary, and
Berlusconi in Italy, I think, was convicted of something. But it's a short list, is my point. That's my point. It's a short list.
Well, anyway, yesterday I sent an email to President Biden, and not knowing what was going to happen. I said, look, you have presidential immunity under any official act. You can release all of Jack Smith's. You can pardon Jack Smith.
Correct.
While you're in office for anything he did to protect him from the orange orangutan. And I hope President Biden has a very, very long list of pardons before, January 20th to protect people from this MAGA mania that just wants to take our country into an oligarchy dictatorship. But in any case, I'm talking too long, Jeff. But one thing I want to say lastly, congratulations to you and Christine's marriage last Saturday, and I'm happy for you both.
Well,
so God bless.
It's very, very, very kind of you. I would, if you do have good prayers to send our way, I would send them to her because she's the one that married me. I made out a hell of a lot better in this deal than she did. I guarantee you.
And that's what Andrew did to me 38 years ago.
I absolutely guarantee you. I got the much, much, much better end of this deal than she. Yeah, I'm punching well above my weight. I can guarantee you that. George will back me up 1,000% in the chat. But yeah, thank you.
I want to pray for all the different areas of Los Angeles County that have had this catastrophic fire devastation. I have 2 family friends with, wives and kids that lost their homes. I have 3 friends that I have 2 friends that have said they're safe where they are in LA County, and I have another family friend with kids that said that they're safe. So I've been praying for days and days for everybody out there. And with that, I'm going to hang up. God bless.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, wow. You know what? It'd be great if I could spell. I'm trying to send you all a message here in the chat, and I just can't spell. Great to hear from Randall. It's actually been a while. I know sometimes I get a little snippy when somebody rings in before I tell you to ring in, but I'm not here to order you around. I'm very, very glad that you did. And listen to me typing like I know what I'm doing. Oh, I think I can almost spell. That's not too bad. Holy crap, I'm popular. Come on. I am a very big supporter of Apple devices. This iPhone, this happens to be an iPhone 12 Pro, 12 Max Pro, I think, is the most not useless, the most unreactive touchscreen I've never had an iPhone like it. I damn near have to put a nail through it to get a reaction on occasion. It's the most frustrating thing. But anyway, who's ever on the line, because I can't see where you called from, give us a first name, where you are, and whatever you have to share.
Oh, it's your old pal Mikey.
Hey, it's been a while. I didn't see you in the show. But hey, welcome. I hope it's warmer where you are than it is up here. Although I don't
It's
think it
colder,
is.
which
Hasn't
is,
the Arctic air's come down to you? I thought too, hasn't it?
It's colder than witches in other regions.
Well, there's
And we're
that
supposed to
can't be
get
unseen.
I don't mind being in the country sweat box. I just don't like to have to be at ice box either.
No arguments here. I agree. Anyway, what you got?
Well, I haven't watched any news in a month. What's going on in the world?
I got married. It was a lead story on news outlets around the globe. I mean, the Earth itself almost stopped.
I guess the mailman lost my invitation.
Yeah, the Earth itself almost stopped rotating. It was really quite a sight. I would share a select pick or two if it wasn't going to be so dreadfully painful as to share screen and watch me click around trying to find it. I would do that, but it's you don't need to watch me try to figure out my own computer. I clearly can barely do that as we speak.
Well, you can wait until next Thursday, and then it'll be a Thursday throwback pick. And
yeah, well,
look, plenty of people get married. Plenty of people get married by the justice of the peace with a shotgun held on them by the bride's daddy. So, no matter how bad that came out for you,
thank goodness this was not that. Yeah, thank goodness this was not that. But anyway, I hope that you are well. What have you missed in a month? I don't know. What do you think you have missed in a month? That's an interesting question.
Well, after a year of not being able to find any job, even one in Australia that turned out to be bogus, I got a call from a truck stop company. I won't tell which one because it was really awful. But the lady there asked me if I could be there at 7 a.m. and start the next day, and I said, sure. So I was a cashier in a truck stop, company you've heard of, for a solid month. And it was hell. And then my other preferred job called me up, and now I started this week training to sell furniture, which is much more genteel.
Correct.
I don't know if you've ever had to clean a truck stop bathroom, but the things that people do in a men's room in a truck stop. Oh. So I just worked overnights and day shifts and overnights and day shifts, and I did not watch the news for all of December. In fact, I made $28 an hour by working overnight, starting at 10 in the evening on Christmas Eve. I worked into the morning till 7 a.m., and then I went back at 2 p.m. and worked till like 11 p.m. on Christmas Day. Then I collapsed on the sofa and slept for a while. And I think I went back the day after that, and I worked all through New Year's. And I turned in my resignation last Sunday and started working at the furniture store, where I've been staring at a computer screen, doing learning modules for just tomorrow will be my 10th day of working straight in a row. So I haven't seen anything. I know that President Carter died. I heard there were some fires in Malibu from my LA peeps.
And there still are.
Thankfully, nobody I know died or lost their house yet. But other than that, I think we're just waiting for Cheeto Twitler to retake the presidency. I understand we're going to rename the body of water south of me in here, Mississippi, the Gulf of Make Egg Prices Lower.
Yeah, I was wondering how the renaming
or something like that.
I was wondering how the renaming of that was going to lower grocery prices as he promised. And then, of course, after the election said, well, I don't know if I can actually do that. It's really hard.
And apparently we're going to go to war with Canada. If you ask me who we were most likely to go to war with, Canada and Greenland would not have been my picks.
Well, because they
would have been at the very bottom of the list.
Right. I would remind you of the famous quote from President Kennedy in his moonshot speech. It said, we choose to go to the moon and do the other. Oh, never mind. It's really hard. Let's just not.
Well, so I took a month off basically to work and make money. And in the middle of that, my truck, which I just got an antique tag for, I had all my cousins swarm all over Christmas break, and they said, "You've blown a gasket." And I said, "No, I'm not mad." And they said, "No, not blown a gasket. You've blown the whole gasket." And so I'm closing on a new car in the morning that I wasn't planning to buy, and hopefully I'm going to sleep all day Saturday to recover from a month and 10 days. But I just thought I'd check in with the Kennedy effect and what was going on in the world. I haven't even been able to do any doom scrolling, but I do remember if it's not doom from Mount Doom, then it's just sparkling anxiety.
That's right. Or Avengers Doomsday. But yeah, I appreciate that you are still with us and that you still care about the program and that you're still here. And this is the kind of program that is literally built on individuals. We may reach millions, and we actually do reach millions. Millions are not listening and watching. I'm not stupid. I can see the numbers. We can reach them. They are available to us. They know that we exist, and they can just click and join us, but they don't always. So every single individual out there, the Randalls, Donnas, my cousin Dawn, Mike, everybody, all the way through, all the new names that we welcomed here tonight. We do see some new names almost every single program now. Thank you. It means everything. This is not MSNBC. It's not CNN. It's not Fox so-called news. It's not ABC, NBC, CBS. We're not any of that. And we're not any of the streaming services either, where they can put, blank screens and, B-roll of a rainstorm and a couple 100,000 people will watch on a bad day. That's not us. This is completely homegrown. Not a dime comes into us from advertising. So every time that a Mike or a Randall or a Donna or my cousin or every single one of you, every time that you tune in, every time that you share, like, subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff means everything to a program like this, and it means everything to a brand new radio station like GCPR. We couldn't be here without you. So, Mike, thank you. I'm sorry that things aren't a little nicer, but you did remind me of a statistic which I think is incredibly salient, not just to your story, but to our nation as a whole. 40% of there's about 330 million people in the U.S. It's not exactly that. It's a little plus or minus. It's roughly 330 million. 40% of the population, 40% cannot survive a $400 emergency. What does that mean? Car breaks down, hole in the roof, hot water heater goes, child is sick, whatever, fire in the house, whatever it might be. A $400 emergency. 40% of us cannot economically, easy for me to say, absorb that. That number rises to 60% if the emergency rises to $1,000. 60% of the country cannot economically absorb a $1,000 emergency.
My situation today and yesterday was I was looking everywhere for a car, looking in the Facebook things and all of this, and I was talking to my brother who's been shuttling me back and forth to work all week. I had a borrowed car until last Sunday, and I said, I wish that I could have found a little Nissan Versa, because I drove one as a rental car in California about 8 years ago, and I just love that little car, but there's no hope I'll find one of these things because everybody wants like $15,000 for them. And my brother got a call from the Nissan place because he bought his wife's car there, and he asked, "Hey, do y'all have any Nissan Versas?" And I found one for $7,000 with only 128,000 miles on it. And thanks to having a really shrewd brother, he Christianed them down on the price. So I only have to put $500 down tomorrow. and it'll leave me with $100 until payday. So I just squeaked in under the $500 emergency.
Yeah. Yeah, but look at the stress.
Sometimes,
Look at the stress
I
it's
didn't
putting on
even
you.
pray to Jesus for it. I'm total atheist. Don't pray for shit because I don't think there's anybody listening. But somehow I lucked out and survived it.
Well,
no offense. Excuse my French. We're not on the radio, right?
of course we are.
It's just us. It's just us girlfriends here. But yeah,
gorgeous girlfriends, by the way.
I sometime in the past decade, I believe, it escaped my notice that Mad Magazine went out of business, and
There's a
I think I lost you.
There's a lot of background noise
going on
Mike.
here. No, I hear. I'm trying to mute my computer. It suddenly went unmuted. I don't know what that was about. But it escaped my notice exactly when it happened, but I believe that Mad Magazine went out of business. So GCPR and the Kennedy effect, even though we do have a small audience, we can adopt the old magazine motto, the usual gang of idiots. Said tongue-in-cheekly.
Respectfully.
Yeah. We're the usual gang of idiots.
All right. Well, I got one more story I want to try to get to, my friend. Thank you for checking in. It does mean a lot to me, truly. I'm glad that
I'm vertical. I'll check in on Sunday.
I'm glad that generally speaking, things are okay.
Well, we'll see. Come the 20th.
Thank you, sir. Have a great night. Stay warm.
Bye-bye.
There's one more story I want to try to get to. We didn't even talk about the fires in California, which is just stunning. I don't know. You know, Randall mentioned in the chat that there are now one of the things that the right-wing hate media machines seem to be lying about a lot right now are the fires in California. The fires in California are a result of a very simple thing: drought, fueled by climate change, and the very aggressive Santa Ana winds. I think I said that right. Santa Ana winds, which are gusting up to about 100 miles an hour, which is hurricane force winds. And there are, I think, 5 major fires, none of which are really under control. The second largest city in the country is burning. This is, San Francisco earthquake 1908, was it? And the Great Chicago Fire of... What was the Great Chicago Fire? That might have been in the late 1800s. This is that epic kind of thing. I've seen some articles about the celebrities that lost their homes. I don't really care. Paris Hilton lost a $9 million mansion. I couldn't give two shits. She's a billionaire. You can buy another house. You could build one. She could build 10 of them. Trump literally told his base, because I happen to think they're the only ones listening, California is so dry because Gavin Newsom didn't turn the spigot on the pipeline that brings snow and ice melt from Canada to California. I don't even know the different number of levels. I probably can't count that high on how monumentally idiotic a statement like that is. Now, he knows it's idiotic, but it's also an excellent distraction. Look at the shiny object while the billionaires steal everything from you. Do I think he actually thinks there's a spigot on a pipeline? I don't. But sadly, too many of the people that worship him, they do believe such a thing. Not to mention the very simple logistics of the fact that Washington State and Oregon are sort of in the way. This is drought in Southern California fueled by climate change because we burn fossil fuels and throw trillions of tons of CO2 into the air trapping heat and sunlight, forever changing the weather patterns of this planet. And it was both Neil deGrasse Tyson and earlier on, Carl Sagan said, when asked about alien life, do you think aliens are here on this planet? Do you think they've ever visited us? Carl Sagan said, yeah, I think they've probably visited. But then they realized that we burn fossil fuels for energy. They had a really good laugh and turned around and went home. Top of the line 19th century technology. The technology that allows me to bring this program to you and that allows you to be so kind as to listen and watch it. And yet we dig rocks and dirt out of the ground and oil and burn it for energy. Last story I wanted to get to is what I hope is a hopeful story. Not a very good grammatical sentence there. And it is from the Associated Press. I like to put these stories in every now and then because I like to do something a little positive and a little different. Headline: Spacecraft buzzes Mercury's North Pole and beams back stunning photos. This is from the Associated Press. It was posted today. Was it today? Yes, it was today. I strongly suggest you give it a look. It is a very short article. I mean, literally maybe a 3-minute read. There's some really super neat pictures there. You can probably go to nasa.com and see the pictures. No, be nasa.gov and see some of the pictures there as well. Very short article here written by Marcia Dunn of the Associated Press from about 11 o'clock this morning. Dateline: Cape Canaveral, Florida. A spacecraft has beamed back some of the best close-up photos yet of Mercury's North Pole. If you're not familiar, Mercury is one of the 8 planets, the planet closest to the sun. It is also the smallest planet. It is not terribly too much larger than the moon, than Earth's moon. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, asteroid belt, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. The European and Japanese robotic explorers swooped in as close as 183 miles, 295 kilometers, above Mercury's night side before passing directly over the planet's North Pole. The European Space Agency released stunning photos Thursday showing the permanently shadowed craters at the top of our solar system's smallest and innermost planet. Cameras also captured views of neighboring volcanic plains and Mercury's largest impact crater, which spans more than 930 miles. This was the 6th and final flyby of Mercury for the Bepi-Colombo spacecraft since its launch in 2018. The maneuver put the spacecraft on course to enter orbit around Mercury late last year. The spacecraft holds 2 orbiters, one for Europe, the other for Japan, that will circle the planet's poles. The spacecraft is named after the late 20th century Italian mathematician. Just, I think it's neat. They're neat pictures. Check them out. That's the end of our program for tonight. We are scheduled and plan to be back with you on Sunday for our big 3-hour program. Hopefully the tech will work and maybe George can join us for that one. Superplex Party comes up immediately following us at 9 p.m. Conversations with T. Nathan from 11. Thomas returns tomorrow morning from 8 for everyone at GCPR. For everyone at TKE tonight, that's Kristen Daisy the dog, George, Lynn, and of course, April Riddick. I'm Jeff Kennedy. Have a great, great night, and we will see you again Sunday. That's the plan. See you Sunday from 6 p.m. for our big 3-hour show. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other. Superplex Party starts right now.